Kang Tae-ho worked alone in the Ocean Research Station. It was late at night, and the only sounds were the hum of machines and the distant waves of Jeju Island. He studied coral samples under his microscope, trying to find ways to save the dying reefs. This was his life. Quiet, simple, full of purpose. He never expected the light. It came without warning. One moment he was writing notes, and the next moment, brilliant white light filled the entire room. Tae-ho covered his eyes and fell backward from his chair. The light was warm, almost alive, and it wrapped around his body like gentle hands. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then everything went dark. When Tae-ho opened his eyes, he was not in his laboratory anymore. He lay on a smooth floor that looked like glass, but felt warm beneath his fingers. The ceiling above him stretched impossibly high, filled with soft blue lights that moved like swimming fish. He sat up slowly, his heart beating fast in his chest. He was inside some kind of room. No, not a room. It was too large for that word. The space around him was vast, with curved walls made of crystal that showed the blackness of space outside. Stars floated past the windows. Earth, his Earth, hung in the distance like a blue and white marble. Tae-ho stood on shaking legs. He was in space. Somehow, impossibly, he was in space. "Do not be afraid," a voice said. He turned around quickly. A woman stood before him, though he knew immediately that she was not human. She was tall, much taller than him, with skin that shimmered like silver moonlight. Her hair was pure white and flowed down her back like a waterfall of snow. Her eyes were large and violet, beautiful but filled with deep sadness. She wore a long dress made of material that seemed to shift between blue and purple, and a thin crown of silver sat upon her head. "Who are you?" Tae-ho asked. His voice came out rough and scared. "I am Valora," the woman said. Her voice was soft, but carried the weight of someone used to command. "I am the Empress of the Selenari Empire, and I have brought you here because my people are dying." Tae-ho did not understand. He looked around again, at the crystal walls, at the stars, at this impossible woman standing before him. "This is a dream," he said. "This has to be a dream." "It is not a dream," Valora replied. She walked toward him slowly, her movements graceful like flowing water. "I know this is difficult to accept. Your species has not yet reached the stars. You do not know that the universe holds countless civilizations, but I promise you, everything you see is real." She raised her hand, and suddenly the walls around them changed. Images appeared, showing cities of impossible beauty. Towers of crystal reached toward alien skies. Gardens floated on clouds. Ships traveled between worlds. And everywhere, Tae-ho saw people like Valora, silver-skinned beings with kind faces and sad eyes. "The Selenari Empire has existed for 12,000 years, Valora explained. "We have built wonders across 12 star systems. We have lived in peace. We have created art and music and science beyond your imagination." Her voice grew heavy. "But 3 generations ago, a plague struck our people. We call it the Silence." The images changed again. Tae-ho saw hospitals filled with sick people. He saw funeral ceremonies under alien moons. He saw women crying over empty beds. "The Silence killed only our males," Valora continued. "Every single one. My grandfather, my father, my brothers, all the men of our species gone within 10 years. We searched for a cure, but we found nothing. The plague disappeared as mysteriously as it came, but the damage was done." Tae-ho felt cold despite the warm room. "There are no men left?" "None." Valora's voice was barely a whisper. "Our species reproduces through genetic bonding. Without males, we cannot have children. The last children born to our people are now 30 years old. In 50 more years, the Selenari will be extinct." She looked at Tae-ho with those violet eyes full of desperate hope. "But our scientists discovered something. There is one other species in the known universe that shares our genetic structure. One species that could help us survive. She paused. Humans. Teho's mind raced. You want me to… what? Help you have children? Yes, Valora said simply. Our scientists found that humans share 94% of our genetic code. Bonding between our species is possible. But it is not simple. She touched her chest over her heart. Selenari bonding requires more than just biology. It requires connection, emotion, spirit. We cannot simply take what we need. We must find humans willing to truly bond with us. And you chose me? Out of all the humans on Earth? Valora nodded. We scanned your entire planet. We searched for humans with a special genetic marker that makes bonding easier. You have this marker, Kang Teho. Your signature was the strongest we found. Teho sat down on the glass floor. This was too much. Yesterday he was a simple scientist studying coral. Today an alien Empress was telling him he might save an entire species. Why should I believe any of this? He asked. Valora knelt down beside him. This close he could see that her silver skin had tiny patterns like frost on a window. You do not have to believe, she said gently. I will not force you. If you wish, I can return you to Earth right now. I can erase your memory of this meeting. You will wake up in your laboratory and think you simply fell asleep. And if I stay, then I will show you my world. I will introduce you to my people. You can learn about us, and then you can decide if you want to help. She stood and offered him her hand. The choice is yours, Teho. I am not here to command you. I am here to ask. Teho looked at her hand. He thought about his life on Earth. He thought about his work saving dying coral reefs, about his belief that all life was worth protecting. His grandmother had taught him that. She had raised him after his parents died, and she always said that the measure of a person was how they treated those who needed help. Here was an entire species that needed help. He took Valora's hand and stood. I want to learn more, he said. For the first time, Valora smiled. It was small and tired, but it was real. Thank you. She led him toward a large doorway, but before they passed through, she stopped and turned back to him. There is one more thing you should know, she said. Her smile faded. Not everyone in my empire wants human help. There is a powerful faction that believes accepting assistance from what they call a primitive species is worse than dying with honor. Their leader is High Priestess Mira, and she commands great respect among our people. Teho felt a chill. What does that mean for me? Valora's violet eyes grew hard with determination. It means, Kang Teho, that saving my people will not be easy. It means you will have to prove that humans are worthy of standing beside the Selenari. She gripped his hand tighter. It means we will have enemies. The doors opened before them, revealing a vast corridor filled with more crystal and light. Somewhere ahead, an entire civilization waited to meet him. Teho took a deep breath and stepped forward into the unknown. The ship traveled faster than light. Valora explained this to Teho, but he could not truly understand it. He only knew that one moment they were near Earth, and a few hours later they arrived at a new star system entirely. Through the crystal windows he saw a planet of breathtaking beauty, Selenar Prime, the homeworld of the Empire. The planet was covered in silver forests and purple oceans. Cities rose from the landscape like flowers made of glass and light. Floating platforms drifted through pink clouds. It was the most beautiful thing Teho had ever seen. But as their ship descended toward the capital city, he noticed something wrong. Many of the buildings were dark. Some of the floating platforms hung empty and still. The streets below, while elegant, seemed too quiet, too empty. Before the silence, 20 billion Selenari lived on this world, Valora said softly beside him. Now there are only 3 billion, and that number shrinks every year. Their ship landed on a platform at the top of the Imperial Palace. Guards in silver armor waited for them. They were all women, of course. Every face Tai-Ho saw was female. The guards looked at him with expressions of curiosity, suspicion, and something else. Something like hope mixed with fear. A woman in white robes stepped forward. She was older than Valora, with silver hair turning to gray at the edges. Her face was kind but worried. "Empress," she said with a bow. "Welcome home. The council awaits." "Thank you, Dr. Nara," Valora replied. She turned to Tai-Ho. "This is our chief geneticist. She leads the research on the bonding program." Dr. Nara looked at Tai-Ho with bright, excited eyes. "So, this is the human. His genetic signature is remarkable. Even better than our scans suggested." She seemed to catch herself and bowed quickly. "Forgive me, I am simply eager. We have waited so long for hope." They walked into the palace. The hallways were lined with paintings and sculptures showing the history of the Selenari people. Tai-Ho saw images of families, of children playing, of men and women together, all of it from a time before the silence. Now these images were like ghosts of a life that no longer existed. Another woman joined them. This one was different from the others. She wore black armor and carried weapons at her waist. Her silver skin was marked with scars, and her eyes were sharp like a warrior. She looked at Tai-Ho the way a wolf looks at a strange animal. "Commander Sela," Valora said, "this is Kang Tai-Ho." "The human." Sela's voice was cold. "He is smaller than I expected. Size does not determine worth," Valora replied calmly. Sela said nothing, but her eyes never left Tai-Ho as they continued walking. They reached a great hall where hundreds of Selenari had gathered. They sat in rising rows of seats, all facing a central platform. The noise of their talking stopped when Valora entered. Everyone stood and bowed, but not everyone. Near the front, a group of women in red robes remained seated. Their leader was a tall woman with cold violet eyes and a face carved from stone. She wore a headdress of black crystals and looked at Tai-Ho with pure hatred. "High Priestess Mira," Valora said, her voice formal. "Thank you for attending." "I am here to witness this mistake," Mira replied. Her voice echoed through the hall. "I am here to remind our people of what we once were, before we lowered ourselves to beg help from animals." The hall erupted in whispers. Tai-Ho felt his face grow hot with anger, but he forced himself to stay calm. Valora raised her hand, and silence fell. "The council will now hear from our guest. Kang Tai-Ho of Earth, please speak." Tai-Ho had not prepared any speech. He had not expected this, but he walked to the central platform and looked out at the sea of silver faces watching him. Some looked hopeful, some looked doubtful. Some, like Mira and her followers, looked disgusted. He took a deep breath and spoke from his heart. "I am nobody special," he began. "On my planet, I am just a scientist who studies the ocean. I try to save coral reefs that are dying because of pollution and warming waters. It is small work, important to me, but small compared to what you face." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "I do not know if I can help you. I do not know if humans are the answer to your problem, but I know one thing about my people." He looked directly at Mira. "We do not give up. When something we love is dying, we fight for it. When someone needs help, we reach out our hands, not because we are strong or smart or special, but because that is who we choose to be." Mira laughed, a sharp and bitter sound. "Pretty words from a creature whose species still kills each other over land and resources. Your people are savages." "Yes," Tai-Ho admitted. "Humans have done terrible things. We have wars. We have cruelty. We are not perfect." He straightened his shoulders. "But we also have love. We also have sacrifice. I have seen humans run into burning buildings, to save strangers. I have seen humans give their food to hungry children they never met. I have seen humans work their entire lives trying to heal the world. He looked around the hall at all the watching faces. Your empire is ancient and wise. Humans are young and foolish in many ways, but we know how to hope when hope seems gone. We know how to fight when fighting seems impossible. If that is something your people need, then I am willing to give it. The hall was silent. Then, slowly, some of the Selenari began to stand. They nodded their heads in respect. Not many, maybe 100 out of the thousands there. But it was something. Mira stood and pointed at Tae-ho. This changes nothing. I will not let our bloodline be contaminated by these creatures. The true Selenari would rather die pure than live mixed with human filth. She swept out of the hall with her followers behind her. Valora walked to Tai-ho's side. You did well, she said quietly. I made her angry. She was already angry. You gave others something to think about. Later that night, Tae-ho sat alone in his guest room. The door opened, and Commander Sayla walked in. She carried 2 long staffs that looked like training weapons. Stand up, she ordered. Why? I want to see what humans can do. She threw one staff at him. Fight me. Tae-ho caught the staff clumsily. I am not a fighter. Clearly. Sela attacked without warning. The next few minutes were painful. Sela was faster, stronger, and better trained than Tae-ho could ever hope to be. She knocked him down again and again. His body ached. His pride hurt worse. But every time he fell, he got back up. After the 10th fall, Sela stopped. She looked at him differently now. The contempt was still there, but something else had appeared. Confusion, maybe curiosity. You cannot win, she said. You know you cannot win. Why do you keep standing? Tae-ho wiped blood from his lip and raised his staff again. Because giving up is not an option. Sela studied him for a long moment. Then, for the first time, she nodded with something like respect. Perhaps, she said slowly, humans are more interesting than I thought. She left without another word. Tae-ho collapsed onto his bed, bruised and exhausted, but strangely hopeful. He had taken his first step toward proving human worth. The road ahead would be long and hard, but he would not give up. 2 weeks passed on Selenar Prime. Tae-ho spent most of his time with Dr. Nara in her laboratory. She ran countless tests on him, studying his blood, his cells, his genetic code. She was always excited, always hopeful, always talking about possibilities. The compatibility is even better than we predicted, she told him one morning. The bonding should work. But you understand, it is not simply a medical procedure. Tae-ho nodded. He had learned much about Selenari biology. Their reproduction was different from humans. It required what they called bonding, a deep connection between 2 people that was part physical, part mental, part spiritual. During bonding, 2 Selenari would share their minds, their memories, their emotions, everything. It is the most intimate thing our people can experience, Dr. Nara explained. You cannot hide anything during the bond. You become completely open to each other. And humans can do this? We believe so. Your brain structure is similar enough. She paused. But we need a volunteer, someone willing to be the first to bond with a human. Finding a volunteer was not easy. Many Selenari women wanted children desperately, but the thought of bonding with an alien frightened them. Others feared the social shame that Mira and her followers promised. The first woman to bond with a human would be called a traitor, impure, contaminated. Then Lady Yuna came forward. She was younger than Tae-ho expected, maybe the Selenari equivalent of 25 years old. Her silver skin was pale, and her violet eyes were nervous but determined. She came from a noble family, one of the oldest in the empire. Without children, her family line would end with her. "I am not afraid," Yuna told Taeho when they first met. "My mother died last year. She was the last of her generation. Before she died, she made me promise to fight for our future. Whatever it takes." Taeho respected her courage. "You know this might not work," he said. "You know everyone will judge you." Yuna smiled sadly. "They already judge me for having hope. I would rather be judged for trying than for doing nothing." Elder Hana arrived to guide the bonding ceremony. She was ancient, nearly 400 years old, one of the last Selenari who remembered the time before the silence. Her skin had turned from silver to gray, and she moved slowly, but her eyes were sharp and wise. "The bonding is sacred," Hana told them both. "It is not something to fear. When two spirits join, they share truth. There can be no lies during the bond, no hiding. You will see each other completely." She led them to a chamber deep within the palace. The room was circular, with walls covered in glowing crystals that pulsed with soft light. In the center were two cushions facing each other. "Sit," Hana instructed. "Face each other. Take each other's hands." Taeho sat across from Yuna. Her hands were cool and smooth in his. Her violet eyes met his, and he saw fear there, but also trust. She was trusting him with something precious. "Close your eyes," Hana said. "Let your minds become still. Let the bond find its own path." At first, Taeho felt nothing, just darkness behind his closed eyes. Then, slowly, something began to change. He felt a warmth spreading through his hands, traveling up his arms, reaching toward his heart and his mind. It was gentle, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Then the memories came. He saw Yuna's life. He felt her childhood in the great palace of her family. He experienced her joy playing in the silver forests, her love for her mother, her curiosity about the stars. He felt her confusion when she was young and asked her mother why there were no fathers, no brothers, no sons. He experienced the terrible moment when she first understood what the silence meant, that her people were dying, that there was no hope. He felt her grief when her grandmother died, then her aunts, then finally her mother just 1 year ago. He felt her loneliness in the great empty house, surrounded by ghosts of the people she loved. He felt her desperate hope when she heard about the humans, her fear of what others would say, her courage in volunteering anyway. And Yuna saw his life too. She saw Taeho as a small boy in Korea crying at his parents' funeral. She saw his grandmother taking his hand, telling him that she would always be there. She felt his childhood learning to cook, to clean, to be strong even when he felt weak. She experienced his wonder when he first saw the ocean, his decision to become a scientist, his years of work trying to save dying coral reefs. She felt his loneliness, his quiet life, his secret wish that someday he might do something that truly mattered. She felt his grandmother dying 3 years ago, leaving him alone in the world. And she felt his hope when he saw the Selenari, his compassion, his desire to help, not because he wanted reward, but because helping was right. The bond completed. Taeho opened his eyes and found tears running down his face. Across from him, Yuna was crying too, but she was smiling. "I understand now," she whispered. "I understand humans." Dr. Nara rushed in with her scanning devices. She ran tests for several minutes, then looked up with joy shining in her eyes. "The bond worked," she announced. "Lady Yuna's genetic patterns have been activated. She will be able to have children." The news spread across the empire within hours. Some celebrated in the streets, others prayed in temples, thankful for the miracle. But Mira and her followers gathered in dark corners, their anger growing hotter. That night, Taeho walked alone in the palace garden. He thought about what he had experienced during the bond. He had felt so close to Yuna, closer than he had ever felt to anyone. It was strange and beautiful and a little frightening. He did not hear the attackers coming. 3 figures in black dropped from the trees around him. They moved fast, with weapons drawn, assassins sent by Mira's faction. Tejo tried to run, but one of them cut him off. Another raised a knife, aiming for his heart. He was going to die here, in this beautiful garden under alien stars. Then Commander Sela appeared. She came like a storm. Her black armor gleamed in the moonlight as she crashed into the assassins. Her blade moved faster than Tejo's eyes could follow. One attacker fell, then another. The third tried to flee, but Sela caught her and knocked her unconscious with a single strike. Tejo stood there shaking, his heart pounding. Sela turned to look at him. Her face was hard, but her eyes held something new, concern, maybe even care. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "No," he swallowed. "You saved my life." Sela cleaned her blade and sheathed it. "Mira has gone too far. Assassination is a crime even she cannot escape." She stepped closer to Tejo. "I had watched you these weeks. I have seen your kindness to our people, your patience with those who hate you, your courage in the bonding chamber." She placed her hand over her heart in a Selenari gesture of respect. "I was wrong about humans, or at least I was wrong about you." Tejo felt warmth spread through his chest. "Thank you, Commander. Call me Sela." She almost smiled. "Now come. We must tell the Empress what happened, and then we must prepare. Mira's faction will not stop. They will try again." They walked back toward the palace together. Behind them, the stars shone cold and beautiful over a world slowly learning to hope again. The assassination attempt changed things. Mira was brought before the imperial court and stripped of some of her power. She was forbidden from public speaking and placed under watch, but her followers remained loyal, and their hatred burned quietly in the shadows. Tejo tried not to think about the enemies he had made. Instead, he focused on helping the Selenari people understand humanity. He spent time with Dr. Nara, explaining human customs and beliefs. He taught Commander Sela about Earth's history, its wars, and its peace. He showed Empress Valora small pieces of his culture. One evening, he made kimchi for her. Valora sat in the palace kitchen, watching Tejo mix vegetables with spices. She looked confused but curious. "This is how humans show care?" she asked. "Cooking for someone is love," Tejo explained. "My grandmother taught me that. When you make food for people, you give them a piece of yourself." He offered her a bowl. Valora tasted it carefully. Her silver face showed surprise, then something like wonder. "It is strange," she admitted, "but also wonderful. I have never experienced anything like it." "That is human food. Strange, but wonderful." Tejo smiled. These were good days, peaceful days. But peace does not last forever. 1 month after the bonding, a ship arrived from deep space. It was black and sharp, shaped like a knife cutting through the stars. It carried the flag of the Keth Dominion. Tejo had learned about the Keth from Sela. They were an empire of conquerors, led by brutal warlords who believed that strength was the only virtue. They had fought wars with the Selenari before, but had never won. The Selenari technology was too advanced, their defenses too strong. But that was before the silence, before the Selenari lost half their population and most of their fighting spirit. Ambassador Duri came to the palace. He was tall and thin, with gray skin covered in sharp scales. His eyes were yellow and cold, like a snake watching its prey. He smiled with too many teeth. "Empress Valora," Duri said, bowing with false respect, "I bring greetings from the Keth Dominion. We have watched your empire with interest these past years. Such tragedy, such decline." His smile widened. "We offer our sympathy." Valora sat on her throne, her face calm as stone. What do you want, Ambassador? Only to discuss the future. Dury walked slowly around the throne room, looking at the treasures displayed there. We have heard interesting stories. Stories about humans, stories about genetic bonding, stories about a possible cure for your people's unfortunate condition. Tejo stood beside Sela, watching the ambassador with growing unease. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. The Keth Dominion wishes to study this human technology, Dury continued. We believe we could help improve it, make it more efficient. He turned to look directly at Tejo. We would like to borrow your human friend. No, Valora said immediately. Dury's smile did not waver. Perhaps I was not clear. I am not asking. He raised his hand and guards entered the room. Keth soldiers in black armor heavily armed. But they were not alone. Between two of the soldiers walked a man, a human man. Tejo felt his blood turn cold. The man was Korean, maybe 40 years old, with a face that had once been handsome but was now thin and worn with suffering. His eyes were empty, broken. He wore chains on his wrists and ankles. This is Captain Park Jin-soo, Dury announced. He was an astronaut from your country, Tejo. Our ships found him drifting in space 8 years ago. We have kept him as a guest ever since. Jin-soo did not look up. He did not react to his name. He was like a ghost wearing human skin. We offer a trade, Dury said. Give us Tejo, and we will return Jin-soo. Human for human. Fair exchange. Tejo stepped forward. What did you do to him? We studied him. Dury showed his teeth again. Keth science requires thorough research. We learned much from Jin-soo, but he is old now, used up. We would prefer a fresh specimen. Rage burned in Tejo's chest. He wanted to attack the ambassador, to hurt him for what he had done to Jin-soo. But Sela grabbed his arm and held him back. Valora stood from her throne. Her violet eyes blazed with cold fire. You come into my palace. You threaten my guest. You show me proof of your cruelty. And you expect me to give you what you want? Dury shrugged. We expect you to be practical. Your empire is weak, Empress. Your military is a shadow of what it was. If we wanted to, we could take Tejo by force. We offer trade only because war is expensive. He paused. Think carefully before you refuse. The throne room was silent for a long moment. Then Valora spoke, her voice ice-cold. Get out of my palace. Take your soldiers and your ship and leave Selenari space. There will be no trade. There will be no surrender. If the Keth Dominion wants war, then war you will have. Dury's smile finally faded. His yellow eyes turned hard and dangerous. You will regret this, Empress. Your dying empire cannot stand against us. Within a year, Selenar Prime will burn. He snapped his fingers, and his guards dragged Jin-soo toward the door. Wait! Tejo shouted. You cannot take him! Dury laughed. He is our property. We can do whatever we want with him. He looked back at Valora. 1 year, Empress. Prepare your people for the end. The Keth left, but their threat hung in the air like poison. That night, Tejo sat with Valora in her private chambers. Sela stood guard at the door. Dr. Nara had been called away to study the intelligence they had gathered. I am sorry, Valora said quietly. I did not know about your fellow human. If I had known the Keth held him... You would have done what? Tejo asked. Traded me for him? Valora looked at him with sad eyes. I do not know. Your life is precious. His life is precious. Both of you matter. She shook her head. But trading you to the Keth would doom us all. They would learn to create their own bonding technology. They would use it to build armies of hybrid soldiers. The galaxy would burn. Tejo understood. He hated it, but he understood. I cannot leave Jin-soo with them, he said. He is my countryman, my brother, even though I never met him. Humans do not abandon their own. Sela spoke from the doorway. Then we rescue him. Valora turned to her commander. The Keth ship is heavily armed. We cannot attack openly without starting the war immediately. Not an attack, Sela replied. A covert mission. Small team. Quick in, quick out. The Keth will not even know until we are gone. Valora considered this. It was risky. If they failed, war would come even sooner. But if they succeeded, they would save a human life and prove to the galaxy that the Selenari still had teeth. She looked at Teho. You would have to come. Jin Su will not trust Selenari alone. He needs to see a human face. Teho nodded without hesitation. I will go. Valora reached out and touched his hand. Her silver fingers were warm against his skin. You continue to surprise me, Kang Teho. Your people's capacity for loyalty is remarkable. Teho thought of his grandmother, of her teachings about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. We are human, he said simply. This is what we do. Sela began walking toward the door. Rest tonight, she said. Tomorrow we plan. In 3 days, we rescue your brother. Teho watched her go, then turned back to Valora. The Empress looked tired, worried, and afraid. But beneath all of that, he saw something else. Hope. Maybe together they could face whatever darkness was coming. The rescue ship was small and fast, designed for stealth. Sela had chosen her team carefully. 5 of her best soldiers, trained in silent combat and infiltration. Teho made 6. He was not a warrior, but Sela insisted he come. Jinsu needed to see a human face to believe he was truly being saved. They left Selenar Prime under cover of darkness. The Keth diplomatic ship had stopped at a space station near the border to refuel. It would be docked there for 12 hours. That was their window. Teho spent the journey thinking about Jinsu. 8 years. 8 years as a prisoner of the Keth. 8 years of experiments and cruelty. What kind of person survived that? What was left of the man who had once been brave enough to travel into space? You are worried, Sela said, sitting beside him. He might not want to be saved, Teho admitted. He might be too broken. Sela nodded. Maybe. But you still have to try. That is what you taught me about humans. You try even when success seems impossible. The space station was a massive structure floating in the void between stars. Dozens of ships were docked there, including the Black Knife of the Keth diplomatic vessel. Sela's team approached from behind an asteroid, hiding in its shadow until they were close enough to slip through the station's sensors. They docked at an empty port and entered the station through a maintenance tunnel. Sela led the way, moving through corridors with silent precision. Her soldiers followed like shadows. Teho tried to copy their movements, but he felt clumsy and loud compared to them. The Keth ship was guarded, but Sela had planned for that. Her team created a distraction on the other side of the docking bay, an explosion, carefully controlled, that drew the guards away. In those precious minutes, Sela, Teho, and 2 soldiers slipped onto the Keth vessel. The inside of the ship was dark and cold. The walls were made of black metal that seemed to absorb light. Everything felt hostile, built to intimidate and frighten. They moved through corridors, following the map Sela had memorized from intercepted data. Jinsu was held in the lower levels, the brig. They found him in a cell barely large enough for a bed. He sat against the wall, staring at nothing. His clothes were torn and dirty. His body was covered in scars. When Teho opened the cell door, Jinsu did not even look up. Jinsu, Teho said softly in Korean, my name is Kang Teho. I am here to take you home. Slowly, Jinsu raised his head, his eyes focused on Teho's face. For a moment, he seemed not to understand. Then, like a man waking from a long nightmare, he began to shake. You are Korean, Jinsu whispered. You are human. Yes. Teho knelt beside him. You are not alone anymore. We are leaving this place. Tears ran down Jinsu's ruined face. I thought no one would come. I thought they forgot about me. We never forgot, Taeho lied. He had not known Jinsu existed until days ago, but the lie was kind. Humanity never forgets its own. Can you walk? Jinsu nodded weakly. Taeho helped him stand, putting Jinsu's arm over his shoulder. The man was thin, too thin, and his legs shook with every step, but he was alive. That was what mattered. They made their way back through the ship. But as they reached the docking area, alarms began to scream. We have been discovered, Sela said, her voice calm despite the danger. Move faster. Keth soldiers poured from doorways around them. Sela's team fought back with incredible skill, but they were outnumbered. Blaster fire filled the corridor with deadly light. One of Sela's soldiers fell, wounded, then another. Go! Sela shouted at Taeho. Get Jinsu to the ship! We will hold them! Taeho wanted to argue, wanted to stay and fight, but Jinsu needed him. He half-carried, half-dragged the broken man through the chaos, dodging blaster fire, running as fast as Jinsu's weak legs could manage. A Keth soldier appeared in front of them, weapon raised. Taeho did not think. He pushed Jinsu aside and threw himself at the soldier, tackling him to the ground. The weapon discharged, sending a bolt of energy into Taeho's shoulder. Pain exploded through his body, but he kept fighting, wrestling with the soldier until Sela appeared and knocked the Keth unconscious with her blade. Fool, she said, pulling Taeho to his feet. Heroes get killed. I had to protect Jinsu, Taeho gasped through the pain. Sela looked at him with an expression he had never seen before. Respect, admiration, something deeper. Yes, she said. You did. They reached their ship with seconds to spare. The remaining soldiers held the Keth back while Sela launched them away from the station. As they jumped to light speed, Taeho finally allowed himself to breathe. Dr. Nara was waiting when they arrived at Selenar Prime. She treated Taeho's wound, which was painful but not life-threatening. She checked Jinsu, who was in worse condition. Years of torture had damaged his body in ways that would take months to heal. But he was alive. That night, Jinsu sat with Taeho in the medical bay. He had not spoken much since the rescue, but now he seemed ready. They wanted to know everything about humans, Jinsu said quietly. Our biology, our culture, our weaknesses. They ran tests on me for years, cut me open, put me back together, asked me questions until I forgot the answers. Taeho listened without interrupting. But the worst part, Jinsu continued, was what they told me. Their plans. He looked at Taeho with haunted eyes. The Keth are not just threatening. They are planning. They have been building a fleet in secret for years, a fleet large enough to conquer the Selenari Empire. Taeho felt cold fear in his stomach. When? Soon. Within months. Jinsu gripped Taeho's hand with surprising strength. They think the Selenari are too weak to fight. They think this dying empire will fall like rotten fruit, and after they take Selenar Prime, they will come for Earth. Taeho thought about his home, about the blue oceans he loved, about the people who had no idea that monsters were waiting in the stars. We have to warn them, he said. We have to warn everyone. Jinsu nodded. I know things. Keth formations, weapon weaknesses, command structures. I learned a lot during my years in hell. If your alien friends will listen, I can help them fight. Taeho stood up, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. They will listen. I will make them listen. He found Empress Valora in her council chamber, already reading reports about the rescue mission. When Taeho told her what Jinsu had revealed, her silver face went pale. War is coming, she said softly. Faster than we thought. Yes. Taeho took a deep breath. And I have an idea. Something that might seem crazy. But if we are going to survive this, we need more than the Selenari. We need humanity. Valora looked at him with those violet eyes. You want to contact Earth? Reveal our existence to your entire species? Yes. Tae-ho stepped closer to her. Humans do not know about aliens, but they need to know, because this war is coming for them too. Let us fight together. Let humans prove we are worthy of standing beside the stars. The Empress was silent for a long moment. Then she smiled, a small and tired smile, but full of hope. Very well, Kang Tae-ho. Let us call your people. Let us see what humanity can do. The day the Selenari revealed themselves to Earth, the world changed forever. Empress Valora sent a message to every television, every computer, every phone on the planet. Her face appeared on billions of screens, silver and strange and undeniably real. She spoke slowly, her words translated into every language. People of Earth, I am Empress Valora of the Selenari Empire. We have watched your world from afar for many years. We come to you now not as conquerors, but as friends seeking help. A great danger threatens both our peoples. We ask you to listen. The chaos that followed lasted 3 days. Some people celebrated, some people panicked, some refused to believe it was real. Governments held emergency meetings. Religious leaders spoke of end times. Scientists worked desperately to confirm what their eyes told them. Then Tae-ho appeared on the screens. He stood in the United Nations building in New York, surrounded by cameras and microphones and thousands of staring eyes. Beside him stood Valora, beautiful and regal. Behind them, through the great windows, a Selenari ship floated above the city, shimmering in the sunlight. My name is Kang Tae-ho, he said. I am a Korean scientist. 2 months ago, I was taken to the stars. I have seen wonders I cannot describe. I have met people who are different from us, but share our dreams of peace and family. And I have learned that we are not alone in the universe. He paused, looking at the faces of world leaders watching him. I also learned that we are in danger. Another alien empire, the Keth Dominion, is planning to attack. They will conquer the Selenari first, then come for Earth. They see us as weak, as prey. They think we will run and hide and die without fighting. Tae-ho straightened his shoulders. I believe they are wrong. I believe that when humanity faces its darkest hour, we do not surrender. We stand together, we fight together, and we prove that the human spirit cannot be broken. He looked directly into the cameras. The Selenari are asking for our help. I am asking for your help, not as a Korean, not as a scientist, as a human being. Join us, fight with us, show the universe what humanity can do. The response was not immediate. Trust takes time. Fear takes longer to overcome. But slowly, the leaders of Earth began to listen. General Park Soo-min of Korea was the first military commander to step forward. She was a woman in her 50s, tough and practical, known for her brilliant strategies and her love for her soldiers. I have questions, she said during her first meeting with Valora. Many questions, but I have spent my life preparing for threats. If what you say is true, then we have no choice but to fight. Dr. Choi Eun-bi joined the alliance next. She was a young scientist from Seoul, an expert in physics and engineering. She looked at the Selenari technology with wide eyes and endless curiosity. Your ships are incredible, she told Dr. Nara, but there are things we can improve. Humans are good at finding new ways to use old tools. Let me study your systems. Let me help. Within weeks, a coalition formed. Soldiers from dozens of countries volunteered to join the fight. Scientists shared knowledge with Selenari researchers. Ships were modified, weapons were upgraded, and strategies were planned. Jinsu proved invaluable. His years of suffering in Keth hands had given him knowledge no one else possessed. He explained their battle tactics, their psychological weaknesses, their chain of command. He was still healing, still broken in many ways, but he threw himself into the work with desperate energy. I spent 8 years as their prisoner, he told General Park. I spent 8 years dreaming of revenge. Now I will have it. The Selenari were amazed by human military thinking. Their own strategies were elegant and precise, built on thousands of years of tradition. But humans fought differently. They used deception, misdirection, psychological warfare. They were unpredictable. "Your people are terrifying," Commander Sella admitted to Tejo one night. "In our culture, war has rules, honor, boundaries. Humans have none of that." "We have rules," Tejo replied. "We protect civilians. We show mercy to those who surrender. But when we fight to win. Whatever it takes." Sella nodded slowly. "I am glad you are on our side." The combined fleet assembled near Selenar Prime. Selenari crystal ships floated beside human vessels that had been hastily modified for space combat. It was a strange sight, beautiful and terrible, ancient elegance mixed with rough human engineering. Empress Valora addressed the fleet from her flagship. "Warriors of the Selenari Empire, soldiers of Earth, we stand at the edge of history. Behind us lies everything we love, our homes, our families, our future. Before us lies an enemy who believes we are weak, who believes we will fall without fighting." Her voice grew stronger. "Let us prove them wrong. Let us show them the fire that burns in our hearts. Selenari and human, fighting side by side. Let this be the moment when two peoples became one." The fleet roared with approval. Selenari cheered alongside humans. Differences disappeared in the face of shared danger. Then the sensors detected the Keth Armada. They came out of darkness like a storm of black knives. Hundreds of ships. Thousands. More than anyone had predicted. The Keth had been building their fleet in secret for years, and now they revealed their full power. Admiral Duri's face appeared on every screen in the Allied fleet. He was smiling that terrible smile. "Empress Valora, I warned you. Your empire is finished. Your human pets cannot save you." His yellow eyes gleamed with hunger. "Surrender now, and I will grant you quick deaths. Fight, and you will suffer. The choice is yours." Valora's face was calm as she replied, "We choose to fight." Duri laughed. "Then you choose extinction. All ships, attack." The Battle of Selenar Prime began. Tejo watched from the bridge of Valora's flagship as the two fleets crashed together. Blaster fire lit up the void like a deadly firework display. Ships exploded. Lives ended. The universe turned into chaos. But the humans fought like nothing the Keth had ever seen. Human pilots flew their ships in crazy patterns that no rational being would attempt. Human soldiers broadcast insulting messages across Keth communication channels, confusing and enraging the enemy. Human engineers found weaknesses in Keth ships and exploited them ruthlessly. Jinsu commanded a squadron of fighter craft. His voice was steady over the communications, calm, despite the hell surrounding him. 8 years of pain had turned into 8 years of knowledge, and now he used that knowledge to destroy his tormentors. General Park coordinated the battle from a human command ship. Her strategies shifted constantly, never giving the Keth time to adapt. When one attack failed, she launched another. When the enemy expected retreat, she ordered advance. She was unpredictable, relentless, and brilliant. The Keth had expected easy victory. They found something else entirely. But the battle was far from over. The enemy still outnumbered them. The enemy still had power. And somewhere in the chaos, High Priestess Mira's ship drifted damaged and alone, caught between fleets, moments from destruction. Mira's ship was dying. The crystal hull had cracked from enemy fire, and the vessel drifted helplessly between the two fleets. On the bridge, Mira held onto her throne as sparks flew and systems failed around her. She had joined the battle despite her exile, hoping to prove her worth, hoping to die with honor if nothing else. Now she would get her wish. 3 Keth ships approached, weapons charging. There was no escape. Then a human ship appeared between Mira and the enemy. It was a small vessel, barely armed, designed for rescue operations rather than combat. Its pilot was broadcasting on open channels, calling for support, trying to buy time. Keth fire struck the ship again and again. Its shields failed. Its hull began to break apart. But it kept flying, kept blocking, kept protecting. Mira watched in shock as the human ship finally exploded. The pilot had died saving her. A human had died saving her. After everything she had said about them, after all her hatred and contempt. A human had given their life for hers. Selinari rescue ships arrived moments later and pulled Mira from the wreckage. She sat in the medical bay of a friendly vessel, staring at nothing, her world turned upside down. A medic approached her. Human, young, female. She treated Mira's wounds with gentle hands. "Why did he do it?" Mira whispered. The medic looked at her with sad eyes. "Because that is what we do. We protect people, even people who hate us." Mira closed her eyes and felt tears fall down her silver cheeks. In that moment, something inside her cracked open. Not her body, her heart. The battle raged on. Admiral Dury commanded from his flagship at the center of the Keth Armada. He had expected quick victory, but the Allied fleet refused to break. Every time he destroyed one group, another attacked from a different angle. The humans fought like demons, unpredictable and relentless. "This is impossible," he snarled at his officers. "They should be destroyed by now. They are outgunned and outnumbered. Why do they not surrender?" No one had an answer. Empress Valora led the main Selinari force against the Keth center. She stood on the bridge of her flagship, calm and regal, directing ships with precise commands. Te-Ho stood beside her, watching the chaos on the screens. "The Keth command ship," he said, pointing to the largest vessel in the enemy fleet. "If we destroy it, their coordination will collapse." Valora nodded. "But it is too well protected. We cannot get close enough." Jinsu's voice came over the communication system. "I can get close." He piloted his fighter toward the command ship, weaving through enemy fire with skill born from desperation. His squadron followed, human and Selinari pilots flying together. One by one, they fell to Keth weapons. But Jinsu kept going. "For 8 years I dreamed of this moment," Jinsu broadcast. "For 8 years I waited. I survived. I remembered. Now I am coming for you, Dury." His ship was damaged. His shields were gone. He was bleeding from a wound in his side, but he kept flying. He reached the Keth command ship's shield generator and fired everything he had. The generator exploded, leaving the massive vessel exposed. "Now!" Jinsu shouted. "Hit them now!" The Allied fleet concentrated all fire on the exposed command ship. Selinari crystal beams and human missiles struck together. The Keth flagship's hull cracked, broke, and finally exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Admiral Dury died without ever understanding how he had lost. With their command destroyed, the Keth fleet fell into chaos. Ships tried to flee and crashed into each other. Formations collapsed. The iron discipline that had made them fearsome disappeared in moments of panic. The Allied fleet did not chase them. There had been enough death. General Park broadcast on all channels. "All Keth vessels. Your commander is dead. Your fleet is broken. Withdraw now, and you will not be pursued. Continue fighting, and you will be destroyed. The choice is yours." The remaining Keth ships fled into the darkness of space. The Battle of Selinar Prime was over. Victory came with a heavy price. Thousands had died on both sides. Ships floated as wreckage around the planet. Jinsu's fighter was found drifting, damaged but intact. He was unconscious but alive, pulled from his cockpit by rescue teams and rushed to medical care. In the days that followed, celebrations mixed with mourning. The Allied fleet had saved Selinar Prime, but the cost would never be forgotten. Mira came before the Empress and the Council. She walked slowly, her body still healing from her wounds. When she reached the center of the chamber, she fell to her knees. "I was wrong," she said, her voice breaking. I was wrong about everything. I watched humans die to protect our people. I felt their sacrifice. I cannot explain it. I cannot understand it. But I know the truth now." She looked up at Valora with tear-filled eyes. "Humans are worthy. They are not lesser beings. They are heroes. Forgive me. Forgive my pride and my hatred. I do not deserve forgiveness, but I ask anyway." Valora stepped down from her throne and took Mira's hands. "We all make mistakes, High Priestess. What matters is that we learn from them. Welcome home." The bonding program continued in the months that followed. More human volunteers came forward, men and women willing to help the Selenari survive. The first children of the new generation would be born within a year, carrying the genetic strength of two species combined. Earth and the Selenari Empire became true partners. An embassy opened in Seoul, then in more cities around the world. Human technology and Selenari science merged in wonderful new ways. The universe grew smaller and larger at the same time. Jinsu recovered slowly. The battle had nearly killed him, but he was too stubborn to die. He became a bridge between the two peoples, a hero celebrated on Earth and Selenar Prime alike. Taeho was offered many titles: Imperial Consort, Ambassador, Advisor to the Empress. He refused them all except one. "I want our peoples to be partners," he told Valora. "Not servants and masters. Not inferiors and superiors. Equals. True allies. That is all I ask." Valora smiled. "Then that is what we will be." On his last day before returning to the stars, Taeho visited Korea one final time. He went to the small cemetery outside Jeju Island where his grandmother was buried. He knelt before her grave and placed flowers on the stone. "Thank you, grandmother," he said softly. "You taught me that all life is worth protecting. You taught me that kindness is strength, not weakness. I carried your lessons to the stars. I hope I made you proud." The wind blew gently through the trees, and Taeho imagined he could hear her voice one more time. "Be kind. Be brave. Be human." He returned to Selenar Prime with the next diplomatic ship. Valora was waiting for him at the landing platform, along with Sela, Nara, Yuna, and all the friends he had made in this strange and wonderful place. That evening they gathered in the palace garden under 3 moons. The air was warm and sweet with the scent of alien flowers. Somewhere in the distance, Selenari music played softly. Valora stood beside Taeho, looking up at the stars. "I still wonder sometimes," she said. "Why do humans fight so hard for others? What gives you such strength?" Taeho thought about his grandmother, about Jinsu surviving 8 years of hell, about the pilot who had died saving Mira, about all the humans who had volunteered to fight a war for people they had never met. "Because someone taught us that love is not a weakness," he said finally. "It is the only thing worth being strong for." Valora took his hand. Her silver fingers intertwined with his, warm and gentle. "Then perhaps," she said softly, "humans can teach us to love again." Together, they watched the stars. Behind them stood their friends, their family, their future. 2 peoples united by hope and sacrifice, and the simple, powerful truth that kindness could change the universe. The ship that would carry them into the unknown waited in the distance, ready for new journeys. Taeho squeezed Valora's hand. "Are you ready?" The Empress smiled. "With you beside me, I am ready for anything." They walked toward the future together, leaving footprints in the silver grass, their shadows stretching long behind them as the moons rose over a world reborn.